fishing with a lot of different people, some notables, and one notable was Bobby Knight, one of the finest coaches in this nation. Gave Indiana University, I don't know what, 4 national championships, I think. Had a chance to be with him and fish with him, and here again, what a wonderful person, what a gentleman. And we experienced not only some good fishing together in the daytime, but also we had a session at night, and I was instructing Bobby relative to line control, what to look for, and the ins and the outs of the night game. And he said, good heavens, he said, you must have been a tough coach. I did coach wrestling in high school and was an assistant coach for 2 years at Penn State. And yeah, I guess maybe I was a bit forceful as a coach at times. And he said, good heavens, he said, you must have been a tough coach. And that with a smile. He did take a 20-inch brown that night, and I was so pleased, and I think he was too. And I'm looking forward to fishing with Bobby again because we've had good times together. Another gentleman who is, I think, one of the premier actors of the time and today, Liam Neeson and I had a chance to fish together. And we were nymphing on Spruce Creek in central Pennsylvania, and doing very well. There was a green drake hatch on at the time, and we were nymphing. He was getting into some really nice heavyweights with the nymph, and we did have a glass of wine together. He was holding a glass of wine and talking with me. Inadvertently, I just made a cast with a green drake nymph, hooked a very large brown trout, and was not too sure what to do with the wine, holding the fly rod in one hand and a glass of wine in the other. And he finally got rid of the wine and did land the fish. But here again, what a perfect gentleman, a great actor, and I certainly did enjoy my time on the stream with him. Hopefully we'll be together again. And he did tie some flies. He tied up, and I thought beautifully, for his first dry fly, a Wayne's dry, and I was very proud of him, and I think he was proud of the fly also. When George Harvey was at Penn State, Milton Eisenhower, President Eisenhower's brother, was the president of Penn State University. And so when Ike would come up to fish, George would join both he and his brother on the stream, and George would give instruction and get them into fish. But then there were times when Milton would want George to fish. He would say, George, he would pick up the phone and say, we're fishing this afternoon. And George said, well, I can't fish, Mr. President. I have classes. He says, forget the classes. Give them to somebody else. We're fishing. And George was not into this. George was very conscientious. When he had a class, he wanted to be with the students. And so he would grudgingly, and because he basically had to, would find a substitute, somebody to come in to take the class in the afternoon and fish with the president. But he said, whatever we had to do to keep that course going and in line, if the president of the university said go, he did. George, when he went to Penn State University, was a distance runner, was a cross-country runner, ran the 1 mile and the 2 mile, was seldom defeated, had a great record, a track record, ran in Madison Square Garden, was very successful. And so one day when we were fishing together on Young Woman's Creek, at this time he was in his 80s, and I said to him jokingly, George, I said, it's a distance to the car. Instead of walking it, let's just run it. And without a word, he started to trot. And then he went into a run. And at his age, well, I guess he was basically around 80 years old at the time. And at his age, I was having a hard time staying with him. And we must have run for, probably 200-300 yards before he finally did slow down. And he looked at me and started to laugh. So he said, yeah, I can still run. Ed Shank and I, Ed was one of the finest fly fishermen in the country. He still is. Ed is, I think, 82 as we speak. And the first classes at Allenbury Resort, instructional classes, were held by Orvis. And for the first 2 years, the Orvis classes were held at the Allenbury Resort in Pennsylvania, near Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and Boiling Springs to be exact. And so then the Orvis Company decided to go back to Manchester, Vermont, and do their classes from there, from their headquarters. And so Ted Sutos and his wife Sue decided to pick up the classes at Allenbury, and then they ran them for a while, and Ed and I worked together for them, and then Allenbury Resort decided to run their own classes. And so now Ed and I have been together instructing at Allenbury. This was our 32nd year, and we're looking forward to next year.